Bang. Welcome back, folks. Um, I'm Jon Najarian. CJ and Monty are here, and we're here to give you guys some ideas of some of the areas that we're focused on today. The guys, of course, run our crypto trading room and have written the curriculum for the crypto trading that we have as far as Market Rebellion. You can check all of it out at marketrebellion.com/try crypto. You can check out the room, which you can join and be in there with thousands of folks, as well as Monty and CJ for $1 for your first month, $1. And then, of course, you could find out about any of the cool stuff regarding, if you're brand new to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and you're just trying to figure out, okay, what are the safe ways for me to not only invest, but then to hold it and to trade it and so forth. Even though we're sponsored by Voyager, we know people trade through a whole bunch of different areas. So it's not like you're just pigeonholed into one. They'll give you a pretty good idea of the best and safest and the ones that give you the most access. And for those of you who are ultra sophisticated, I'm sure you'll want to do some of this through a VPN. So you can access some of the venues that you can't otherwise. But all of that sort of discussion goes on in the crypto trading room, and all that information is offered up by those two gentlemen, Monty and Matt. Monty and CJ. Monty and Matt. We're going to split him.
That's right, John. It's great to have a community of traders, especially in this current Bitcoin environment. You know, the market just moves so fast. And I joked yesterday that it seems like every new day we get, there's a new piece of bullish news. And that's ringing true today. CJ, you and I kind of shared a news article that we saw very bullish this morning. You want to tell us a little bit about that and what is going on over at Goldman Sachs?
So speaking of being new to crypto, Goldman Sachs is close to offering Bitcoin and other digital assets to its wealth management clients. The bank aims to begin offering investments in the emerging asset class in the second quarter, according to Mary Rich, who was recently named the global head of digital assets for Goldman's private wealth management division. Goldman is looking at ultimately offering a full spectrum of investments in Bitcoin and digital assets, begin, quote, whether that's through physical Bitcoin, derivatives, or traditional investment vehicles, end quote, she said. Some Goldman clients feel like we're sitting at the dawn of a new internet in some ways and are looking for ways to participate in the space. So this is really cool, right? Because I think a lot of people never really had the ability to get into Bitcoin, namely like institutionals and high net worth individuals. You know, it's very infeasible for people to be able to get exposure when Bitcoin was only, say, a $6 billion asset class. But now that we're over $1 trillion and over 1.6 trillion in the total collective market cap, these instruments are coming of age and they're being developed. But what do you guys think of Goldman finally getting into the crypto space?
I think it's very, very similar. I don't know if they've put the same limitations, CJ, as Morgan Stanley has. Morgan, of course, is making it available to its high net worth clients. And of course, that's all Goldman has are high net worth clients. But they'll only let you put a certain percentage of your net worth into crypto through Morgan Stanley. Now, I didn't see CJ as far as what Goldman will let you do. Sort of like that one Chevy Chase in Vegas Vacation. Let me lose my money like a man. I don't know why they need to basically say you can only have 2.5% or only 5% of your net worth in X, Y, or Z. I don't know why it's any different. You know, I'm sure that if somebody called up Goldman, you know, if they were a Goldman customer and said, buy me $5 million worth of GameStop, as ludicrous as some of us might think that trade would be, nonetheless, I bet Goldman would let them do it if they had the money there, and or if they wanted to do it on margin. I'm sure Goldman would let them do it, and it might be much larger percentage than what Morgan Stanley, for instance, has limited people to buying any cryptocurrency, in particular, access to some of those Bitcoin and the big ones. So we'll have to see, but I think it's certainly positive for the entire crypto sphere to have Goldman basically saying, "Yep, we acknowledge we've restarted our trading desk," which was big news when you guys reported that just weeks ago. Maybe it was a couple months back, because they'd started one and shut it down, and now they're back in with a crypto desk. So it's a logical extension that they'd start offering this to their customers, I think. How about you, Monty?
Yeah, John, and I think you make a great point about kind of the limits that we're seeing at the beginning of these sort of wealthy fund offerings. I think that kind of points out that we're really still in the infancy of this kind of vehicle of investment. I mean, we talked a lot about the role that institutions played in 2020, and then we talked a lot about the role that the retail investors played in 2017. So I think the last piece of that puzzle is these wealthy family office clients that really have no ways of getting into Bitcoin. So I think that this could be a huge catalyst for positive price action. It's kind of an untapped market for this, for crypto in many ways. So I'm excited to see what effect it sort of has. I think it's going to be kind of a slow effect. It's not going to be immediate. I think we're already kind of seeing a little bit of positive price action as a result. But I think in the long term, this is a necessary step towards a much wider adoption of Bitcoin. And for me, that's always positive news.
Yep. And go ahead, CJ.
Mind if I interrupt? John,
Nope.
Can I get an update from you, sir, on your views on the TNX 10-year treasury yields?
I have to pull them up first.
Still at 1.7.
Well, I think in all logic, it is going to continue going up, the 10-year treasury, that is. But to the extent, CJ, that we don't see those big jumps, I think everything's fine without those big jumps. In other words, I think end of the year, between now and let's say even just the end of the second quarter, which would be the end of June, are we going to see 2%? We could. And if we don't see it in a matter of days, it's fine. And I think overall, CJ, we might see us creep towards a 2 handle for the 10-year and then pull back, because I think it's just, the rest of the world is moving a little to the upside on their, interest rates. That's pretty clear, but the real yields are still negative. So I think that'll probably put a cap on how high our rates can go if everybody's just in here buying our treasuries to get that higher yield. When you buy the treasuries, price of the treasuries goes up, yields go down. So I think that's what we're likely to see, CJ. Even though we might push higher, as long as it's not a leap higher, we're fine. Let me just throw one other thing out to you guys. That Goldman news was big. I think this is kind of big too, even though I don't think anybody's going to really pay with Bitcoin per se. But PayPal is letting people pay with, I think, Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin starting now. Starting yesterday, they basically said, yeah, if you buy something and you'd rather do it with PayPal, we'll let you do it. And you can just click on, for instance, Ethereum and spend X on Ethereum to buy whatever you were buying, just like they have their Venmo to send money back and forth. They'll let you buy things. For instance, obviously, PayPal's a spin out of eBay. So if you were shopping, for instance, there or anywhere else that takes PayPal, you could use Litecoin or Ethereum or Bitcoin through PayPal. And I think that's even bigger, CJ, than Goldman, because there's a lot more people that probably have, a couple $100, maybe a couple $1,000 in some of those cryptos I named. And for them to be able to spend it on something that they'd like to buy through a PayPal platform, I think is big news.
Yeah, absolutely big news, John. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but it was interesting to see kind of some of the comments we got back from our community. And one thing that a lot of people were saying is they would be reluctant to kind of spend their crypto on whatever they may spend it on PayPal because it technically triggers a taxable event. And I think that in the meantime, I kind of agree. But one thing that I think is kind of worth thinking about in the big picture is the reason why this is a taxable event is because the IRS doesn't view Bitcoin as a currency. It doesn't view it as something that is spent at a store or something like that. So I think that now that it actually has some utility and it has that kind of actual currency value, I think that it makes a better case for the IRS to eliminate that as a taxable event when you spend your Bitcoin with a vendor. And it's also interesting to note that, I mean, a lot of vendors have been reluctant to receive payments in Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Litecoin because it's not always practical to expose yourself to that volatility. But with this PayPal news, they actually settle immediately into fiat before handing it over to the vendor. So this may allow much better business for a lot of these vendors that were previously only kind of open to people willing to spend US dollars. So it's interesting news on a lot of fronts. And I think really it kind of is, it could change the way that the IRS and the way that the world looks at Bitcoin and the way we look at a taxable event. So definitely an interesting first step. CJ, I had a question for you because looking at the Bitcoin chart real quick, a lot of people last night were talking about this pretty crazy this pretty crazy 4 hour candle. We saw some pretty wild volatility here, and you shared with me some data from Whale Alert and from Glassnode. I want to get your thoughts on that because I think it's very important to kind of the price action we saw last night.
Yeah, so the first chart that I have highlighted here um, has to do with liquidations, long liquidations specifically on Bitcoin. And this was initially posted by Willy Woo, but you can see that, as we creep up in price in that blue line there on all the right side of the screen, there were no liquidations. That's been pretty uncharacteristic for Bitcoin when it trends and goes up 5,000-6,000 bucks without a trace. And so the promising thing is soon after that, we had a string of liquidations. The one that you're looking at by whale calls, you can see is for 4 million contracts. But that was just one of many that soon came into the market after we kind of fell from our high last night. So the fact that we have that sell pressure and those longs that have been kind of squeezed out of the market, very promising. It opens the door for that authentic growth and an authentic rally to come back into the markets. So pretty nice to see here.
Yeah, I agree, CJ. I think we kind of needed something like this because it seemed like we were struggling to break above our previous all-time high of 62K. And I think with the combination of these longs getting liquidated and the options expiring last Friday, I think there's a lot of pressure that's kind of been relieved on this market. It almost feels like a bit of a reset here. So I'm excited to see what kind of move Bitcoin can make in this next leg up.
Um, I'd also say, I know we're leading into Doge of the Day in a minute, but I can't remember how long ago it was, if it was a week or 2 weeks, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, but we talked about Filecoin briefly, guys, FIL. And that thing has just seen a surge in volume like crazy. I'm not making it my Doge of the Day. It's up 85% in the last week. But previous Daily Crypto Bytes, I know that was a Doge of the Day a couple weeks ago. And I think that kind of move is exactly why people love trading these alternative currencies, not just Bitcoin on the platforms.
Yeah, to your point, John, Filecoin, what they do is decentralized file storage. And soon after Filecoin went up, we saw another asset called StoreJ that attempts to do the same thing, decentralized cloud file storage. And that rallied quite a bit following Filecoin. So there's a lot of interesting clues and little kind of cryptocurrency projects that are related to one another in similar sectors that see interesting price action. But with that being said, who's going to start us off here on the Doge of the Day?
I'll jump in.
Let's do it, John. Let's see what you got.
Okay. Well, how about this one, guys? BitTorrent, BTT. Volumes in this one are always pretty large, but they've been spiking for the last 3 days into the end of this quarter. So for instance, it was, let me see, 0.0035 on Sunday. And it was trading about $750 million worth to about $800 million worth on a 24-hour clock. Then it started spiking to doing by Tuesday, yesterday, it was doing $1.8 billion in volume, and it had moved up to 0.004. Now, the highs that I've seen today, as far as a 24-hour clock, are like $5 billion. So like I say, that's fully 5x normal volume. Now it pulled back from that. It hit a high of just over 5, let me see, 0.0054, something like that, pulled back. I'm not saying you chase it into the end of the quarter, but obviously people are putting a lot more faith and money into BTT. So I'm making that my Doge of the day.
Very nice, John. Very nice. Yeah, a lot of these assets that I was looking at, I actually almost picked Filecoin as my Doge of the day as well. And a lot of them already are performing so well this week. It's kind of tough to pick them as your Doge of the day. But I think going back to what CJ was talking about with those longs being liquidated, I think so much of the pressure of Bitcoin is relieved. And I think that's going to really manifest itself in the rest of the market. So moving on to my Doge of the day. Oops, that's CJ's. Here is mine, and mine is Basic Attention Token, or BAT. And this is one that I've had as my Doge of the day before. It's one that I think has very strong utility. One thing that we've kind of been talking about a lot off cam is which tokens we think have truly the most disruptive potential going forward. And I think one of them that has the potential to really change the way we live our day-to-day lives is Basic Attention Token. And I mean, for me, it's hard to believe that this thing is already above $1. It's just showed tremendous strength so far in 2021. And I talked about it a little bit yesterday, but this is exactly the sort of formation I look for in my Doge of the day. Is when we got this previous run up to an all-time high when Bitcoin spiked, we got some nice consolidation following that. And I think it's posturing itself well above $1 to really benefit from Bitcoin's next run up. And like we just talked about, the Bitcoin market really feels like it just got a nice reset. So I think when that money starts flowing into Bitcoin and it makes new all-time highs, assets like BAT and like Filecoin that John just pointed out are really going to see some parabolic price action as people start to kind of take some money off the table in Bitcoin that have been holding it for a long time and look to some of these alts to make a move. So Basic Attention Token, that is my Doge of the day. CJ, what do you have for us, my friend?
I'm going with StormX as my Doge of the day. I sent you this probably 15 to 30 minutes ago, but I can see that price is already up about 3% from when I sent you the charts. And so, the thing that's really nice about StormX that I wasn't expecting was that I thought it was going to give back a lot of those gains after going all the way up to about 8, almost even 9 cents. We retraced all the way back to about 4, which I guess is roughly a 40% correction. But, I was expecting more of a longer term bleed out for like the next 2 or 3 months, kind of like what VGX is experiencing right now. But we're actually seeing buyers step in and we're seeing buy pressure come back after that massive parabolic run. And on the daily candle, you can actually see that the candle body is starting to go above the last previous candle body high. And so from a technical perspective, that's always something I like to look for. A break above that previous high is kind of like an entry trigger for me. And so I really like that on StormX, despite the fact it's already up like 15% today.
Agreed, CJ. Agreed. A lot of people in our community have been riding the StormX train. So it's going to be interesting to watch that one run. But I think that's about all we got for today. Thank you guys, as always, so much for watching. If you liked what you heard today, come hang out with CJ and I. You can try our crypto trading room for just $1 for the first month. The link is right below me, marketrebellion.com/try crypto. We got pro charting service, an ever-growing community of really intelligent traders. We publish trade insights, news, all sorts of stuff. So if you want to come hang out, come pick our brains, ask us about any of the assets we talked about today or any of the ones we didn't, we're there pretty much 24/7. So check it out at marketrebellion.com/try crypto. So once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you again tomorrow.
Thank you, guys.